So you have another paper to write. I am sharing 12 action steps for before, during, and after that writing process that will help lower that assignment stress and boost that paper grade. I'll also be sharing a bonus revision tip that many students have said is so helpful to getting their papers in tip-top shape. So stick around. Now, before we get into the tips, let's just clarify that there are many different types of college papers that you may be writing. That means the specifics of what you need to do to be successful in those different types of writing will be different. In this video, I am sharing action steps that are relevant to most college writing assignments, making this a more general tutorial video. But if you'd be interested in videos addressing some of those more specific types of writing assignments separately, definitely let me know in the comments. So let's jump into what to do before you actually start writing. The first thing is to double check those assignment guidelines. Make sure that you actually know what you're being asked to do. So often, I've had students turn in very well-written papers, but that do not actually address what the assignment was supposed to be about. And so that great writing does not get the grade that I'm sure those students were hoping for. So don't let this happen to you. If the assignment instructions are unclear or you are not sure if what you are planning on writing is actually a good fit, definitely reach out to your prof to clarify. The second thing to keep in mind before you actually start writing is to be really thoughtful about your topic choice. So you obviously need a topic that is appropriate to the assignment, but that is also hopefully not so boring that you'll fall asleep while writing about it. So be strategic and find something that you're actually interested in. For my exact strategy on this, definitely check out this video. Third thing before actually writing is do some pre-research. Now, this is not your formal hours-long research process. This is simply a bird's eye view of the topic that will give you enough understanding of some of the key concepts and overall ideas that you'll be able to start thinking about how to structure your paper. So there are a couple of ways to do this pre-research exercise. First, this can be simply reading back through the material on this topic, whether this is from your textbook or from your lecture notes, and just refreshing your memory on some of the key concepts and ideas talked about when your chosen topic was discussed. Second, you might find some more general overview resources. There might be a YouTube video that summarizes your topic or gives some more examples. There might be even a Wikipedia article that could give you an overview. Now, no, I am not saying use Wikipedia as your primary resources for your paper, but for this pre-research exercise, things like Wikipedia articles or general web articles can give you enough information that you can start the ball rolling. That pre-research step is really essential before getting into the fourth thing to do before actually writing, and that is putting together an outline. Now, if you just try to sit down and try to create an outline knowing nothing about your topic, then you're going to have a lot of difficulty here. You won't really have much to put into your outline. But with that bird's eye view that you just got from your pre-research exercise fresh in your mind, this will be much easier. You'll know which key theories or key concepts you'll need to introduce or define. You'll know which different perspectives you may need to cover, and you'll be more familiar with potential pieces of evidence or resources that you might need to use in your paper. Of course, the specifics of this outline, how it's structured, what kinds of pieces of evidence you need to include will vary depending on the type of writing assignment that you're working on. It's also important to be aware that the specifics that you put into your outline at the beginning will likely change as you move through the writing process, and that's totally okay. The goal of this outline is to give you a starting point and a direction for the actual writing process. Now, I know many students want to skip this outline step. Don't do it. Just taking 15 minutes to think purposefully about an outline can prevent staring at a blank screen syndrome and give you a bit of a roadmap to keep your paper from wandering aimlessly. Want to know more on how to actually create that outline? That is my next video, and if it's out, it'll be right up here. So before getting into what to do during the actual writing process, have you subscribed yet? Definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that outline video and all of the other videos coming up on maximizing college and minimizing stress. So let's jump into those action steps to take during the actual writing process. First, you'll be writing your first draft, and it's really important to recognize from the beginning that the process of writing your first draft is a cycle. The actual process of writing anything rarely looks like the person sitting down, typing for 2 to 3 hours, and then voila, a finished written product. Instead, it usually looks more like you write for a bit, then you hit a roadblock. You need to look something up or you need to figure something out. So you spend some time working on that. And then you come back and you write a little bit more. And then you hit another roadblock and you don't know what to write. So you have to go look something up. And this is this cycle. This means that this can be a pretty choppy process. This is a challenging process. And this also means that the written product you get at the end of this cycle process is likely choppy as well. This is why it is called a first draft. So don't get too worried if you get to the end of your draft and you think that it is crap. You are not alone. That's what a first draft is all about. It is a starting point that you can then go back to and start to finesse, start to make it what you need it to be to get that grade. So once you have your choppy first draft, the next step is to really evaluate that first draft. So this is before you're making any changes. This is a step where you are simply reading through, looking at your draft, what you've written, and asking yourself some questions about it. So here are some questions you might ask in this evaluation process. What paragraphs might need to be rearranged? What is confusing or doesn't make sense? What seems repetitive or redundant? Which pieces are weak or need to be expanded? Are your references and pieces of evidence from high quality, legitimate sources? Is your paper way too long or way too short? Does what you have so far still fit what you're supposed to do for this assignment? And there are other questions you might ask. These are just some to start you on this evaluation process. Once you've taken stock of what you've got in this first draft, then you start step 3, which is the revision process. So based on the issues that you identified in step 2, in that evaluation process, you start to actually make the changes in this revision step. So you rearrange those paragraphs to help things flow more smoothly or more logically. You might add transitions between paragraphs to smooth out some of the first draft choppiness. You may add more references, more examples, or more explanations as needed. And here is that bonus revision trick that I teased at the beginning. Many students find it so helpful to exchange papers with a classmate during this revision step. This is a strategy called peer review, where you read through each other's papers and give each other feedback, always given in the spirit of helping one another make your papers even better. Now, not only can getting another set of eyes on your writing help you catch things that you just missed, but you also get to experience someone else's writing style, how they are explaining things, how they are organizing their paper. And this can be really helpful as you can integrate some of what you're seeing in their writing style into your own, and also maybe note some things that you realize don't work as well and that you might avoid in your own writing. Now, of course, this does not mean copying anything from your classmates' paper. We do not want to plagiarize here. We are simply learning from one another as we write. So after this revision step, we get into the fourth action step for the actual writing process, and this is the editing step. Now, many assume that the revise step and the edit step are the same thing, but they are actually quite different. Revision is more big picture. It tends to refer to the overall organization of the paper and the content of the paper. Editing, on the other hand, is more nitty-gritty. It's making sure your grammar and your sentence structure is strong, that you have proper capitalization and punctuation, that you're catching any misspellings or typos. This is also where you make sure that your paper and your citations and references are in the appropriate style for the assignment, whether that's MLA, APA, you get the idea. Now, revision and editing use different skills. So trying to do both of these steps at the same time, which many students try to do, often means that neither of them gets done well. And it's also a reality that doing that fine-tuned editing too early, while maybe more major revisions are still happening, can just be a big waste of time. So this is why I really recommend splitting revision and editing into two separate steps of your writing strategy. Now, one great way to catch those little editing errors is to read your paper aloud to yourself. So our eyes are really good at glossing over errors. So just reading over our work visually can often miss those little typos or misspellings. By reading it aloud, not only does it force us to slow down a bit and give us a better chance of actually seeing errors, but by hearing it, we are able to notice places where it feels choppy or awkward and we can fix it. Now, we all have different strengths, so if the detailed editing is not your strength, definitely head to your campus writing center. That is what they're there for. So you've written, you've revised, you've edited. Now let's move into what happens after you're finished with your writing process. First, let's submit. But before you hit that submit button, let's check a couple of things. First, are you submitting the correct assignment to the correct assignment portal in the correct class? Now that the majority of assignments are submitted online rather than being brought to class, there has been a big uptick in students inadvertently submitting the wrong assignment to the wrong professor. And this can be really confusing and lead to some awkward conversations later on. So a double check never hurts. Also, make sure that you are submitting the final version of your paper rather than an outline or an unfinished draft. Now, although some professors will give grace if they encounter an unfinished or incorrect file when they're grading, others are aware that this is an often used delay tactic for students who maybe want to buy themselves some extra time in getting that assignment done. And so sometimes you will be stuck with that unfinished document submission, even if it wasn't intentional. So do yourself a favor and double check. And then you hit that submit button, and I recommend a post-submission check. Double check that everything uploaded correctly, that it's showing as submitted, because we all know technology isn't always in our favor. Third thing to do after, process your feedback. After waiting for what often feels like forever, you get your grade. Maybe you're happy with it. Maybe you're not. The important thing for learning, don't get hung up on the grade. For more about grades mindset, definitely check out this video up here. So let's look at the feedback. What did you do well? What could you improve next time? If any feedback or comments from your professor are confusing or you feel they might be inaccurate, just go talk to them. Be professional. Approach this in the spirit of learning and becoming a better writer, and ask the prof to explain, clarify, and suggest action steps that can make your next paper grade even better. Fourth thing to do after you're finished writing, move on. Celebrate. You are one assignment closer to passing that class, finishing that term, and getting to graduation. So give yourself a pat on the back and then shift your attention to what you need to focus on next. That next assignment where you can apply what you learned in this one to make that next one even better. The really important thing to keep in mind as we move through college and life is that we never stop learning. And there you have it. Obviously, there are a lot of things that go into planning, researching, and writing papers. So if you have a more specific writing-related question or topic that you think would make a great video, just leave it in the comments. Prof Chat is all about you, and I want to make sure you get the information you need to succeed in your classes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.